All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Corporate Esports Association 2023 Grand Finals. I am Titan on Fire, and I am so excited to be bringing you these matches. We have some awesome games coming up for you. It's going to be so good. I am so excited. I think this is going to be an awesome matchup between these two teams. We have the Google Alphastars going up, against the Shopify Dropshippers. For those of you that don't know, Corporate Esports Association runs these yearly events here for corporations who field their teams. There's a regular season, playoffs, everything. It's really, really awesome. And how it's gone so far, for those wondering how we got here, what happened, well, in the regular season, Shopify and Google both fielded their teams of 4 players. Google ended up going 4-0, winning every single game against their opponents. Shopify ended up dropping 1 game, I believe, to Google's second team, Google Cannon Platform. And then in the playoffs, both of these teams have been incredibly strong. They've both done incredibly well and have gone 3-0, beaten every other team, not dropped a map, or not dropped a series. And now it comes down to this: a best of 9 grand finals between these two teams. I'm so very excited for it. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. We have some amazing players, and obviously coming into this, Google, their Alphastars just last season won that grand final, so we're expecting to see some really good games from them. Now, I'll get into talking about the format and how this is going to go, but I want to get into the games because I think that's going to be the most fun part. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us get into game number 1 of this matchup. Here we go. There we are. Screen stayed black for a little bit, but that's okay, ladies and gentlemen. In the top right corner here, being fielded for the Google Alphastars is going to be your purple Protoss. His name from SC Swarm is Alkin. And the bottom left for Shopify Dropshippers, ladies and gentlemen. Also part of the SC Swarm clan, it's Alphastars. So, for those of you that don't know how this grand finals is going to go, it is best of 9. It starts off with a double blind format. Each team is fielding 4 players. They do not know who the other player is. They know just the map lineup, and then they choose to play on those maps. Each team, although this is the interesting part here about CEA and what they do, is that each round has a second map that they can choose from. And so the teams, if they decide, can actually swap to the second map. And that's why actually I think what happened here in this first round, if I am not mistaken, I will have to give a quick double check on that, but I believe game 1, yeah, actually might have kept it on altitude. So essentially there's 2 maps. They kept on altitude for the first one. Second map is also going to be altitude because of how that map system works. And then it goes from there. You have your first 4 matches played out, and then you go into the ace matches. And this is where players are fielded. Both teams choose one of their players and then reveal them at the same time with a random map without knowing the map, and then play out the games from there. And depending on the scoreline, see how it goes. It's pretty, simple. It's pretty cutthroat. It is definitely a big challenge here in this team league. So we're going to have to see how it ends up playing out. And again, I think for Google Alphastars here, for Alkin, for this team, after winning the finals, especially last year, quite some expectations on them, especially and how they're going to perform, and we're going to have to see how they end up doing. And for Shopify, a team that has looked good the whole season. They've just looked incredible. And so, but this is probably going to be their biggest challenge, considering that, their only loss up to this point has been to the other Google team. So it's definitely not going to be easy. And you see Alphastars has that early Reaper out. It's standard builds across the board here from both players. Alkin is going for an earlier Stargate. Now, that is going to get scouted out here by the Reaper. That's going to be full knowledge for Alphastars on what's going on. Although, nice trap here with the Adept. Should be able to get the kill on the Reaper, so not really going to be any more scouting information for the Terran player. That Stargate is going to finish up. Most likely going to see an Oracle still. It's not the worst to commit to, even with the Scout. This is a very safe Oracle. It's back in your base. It's nothing that's across the map. So even with it scouted out, Alkin is still going to be going for that option. And behind this is actually very... going to be a fairly aggressive build here from the left knot. You got the 2 barracks coming down. Factory is up. And so you're going to actually have the Cyclone come out. He's not going to swap over that add-on right away to start on the stim pack. Depending on how aggressive the build you want to be. But left knot is going for a safer option here with that Cyclone. It does mean he's going to be able to defend against these Adepts a little bit better. And that stim will just be slightly delayed. The Adepts not going to complete that shade. Just scouting out, see that there's a bunker, see that there is indeed a mineral line. And obviously that Cyclone also going to be able to assist with this Oracle. So overall, going to be a fairly defensive start here for left knot, but has the +1 attack already started, should be working on that stim as the 3rd barracks comes down. And this is going to be a 3 racks play here for our Terran player as the Adepts actually going in here. Target fire, though, not quite where you want it. They're focusing onto the Cyclone, and that is a tanky unit. The Cyclone just kind of takes that all, and yeah, not a good trade there. I mean, 3 Adepts for, what, nothing. Then the Oracle only gets 1 SCV. It's not going to go down. But overall, not a good start here for the Protoss. And Alkin's immediately throwing down that proxy pylon. Looks like he's going to want to transition out of this. Has 3 gateways on the way. Blink is started up. So we are going to be going into 4 gateways here for our Protoss player. Is that 5? 5 gates. Oh my, he's going to get aggressive here. Yeah, Alkin not very happy with how the start of this game has gone. Oracle scouted out. Adepts go in, doesn't focus fire down the SCVs. It is a situation where the Protoss really needs to reevaluate what they're doing. At the 5 gate, Blink Stalkers, it's going to be a lot of pressure. We'll see how he handles it. Obviously, with the 3 racks, that makes it a little bit more scary for the Protoss because there's going to be a lot of units available for the Terran. Alefna is not going for an early 3rd command center. He is just building up his army. I'm going to be getting ready to do a really heavy 2-base pressure here. As he's taking that 3rd base, swap over onto that starport. Medevac's going to start coming out here. And yeah, this is a rough situation here for our Protoss player. Going to be trying to poke up here with the Stalkers. I mean, could potentially knock down some supply depots. I don't know if he wants to reveal the Blink just yet. It's not a convincing Stalker force just yet, but with more being warped in at the gateway. I mean, here we go. It's actually 6 gates. Never mind. It's not even 5. This is so all in here for Alkin. 5 gates, maybe you could transition out, but with 6, I mean, with the proxy coming in, this is it. You got to get damage done here. Already a few probes going down. Blink backs need to come through. They're not. Already a few Stalkers falling. Weak one's now going to be microed away as more and more SCVs are going to fall. 10, 11 going down. And that is the kind of damage that Alkin needs right now to make up for the early game, to really try and find the damage that he's been looking for. But again, this is essentially almost an all-in. I mean, you could maybe take a 3rd base, but it would be so hard to transition. Alkin just wants to keep this pressure going. Now, half the Stalkers up on the high ground and not exactly where you want them to be to fight this main army is... Good blink away with all the Stalkers. Isn't going to be able to trip away anymore. But +1 armor on the way, and as I said, Alefna, he is just sitting on these 2 bases. He knows that this is a massive committal here for Alkin, who is going to be able to get one of those medevacs. Can't get the second. Blink should be able to save these Stalkers, but 2 going down, 3 going down, and Alkin not quite paying attention here, is just taking the fight straight up. Could have saved a few Stalkers, maybe, but just wanted to try and get as much DPS out as possible. As now Slow Zealot's running away. Charge isn't done quite yet, and these Stim Marines, they are strong. The army size, I mean, there's a lot of units here for the Terran, but half the army fighting the Stalkers is not what you want. A left knot. Dangerous fight there. Had his army split up. Some of them were focusing down the gateway. Some of them were focusing on the Stalkers. Could have gone terribly wrong if Alkin had more units right with him, if he had additional Warpins there, but had just used his round of Warpins on those Slow Zealots and wasn't able to. Now, 3rd command center coming down, and it's going to be up faster than this 3rd Nexus with additional barracks coming up. So even though that worker damage came through, and obviously that slowed down a left knot to the point where Alkin is going to feel a little bit more comfortable in this game, he needs to get these charge lots up. He needs to get this gateway army going, or else he's not going to be able to defend, because again, it is so much army here for the Terran. Good blinks. Force fields can go down from the sentries, and they're going to need to, as this is not the fight you want to take as the Protoss. The Terran is just stimming forward. The force fields were not good enough. And More and more Stalkers going down. Some on the high ground. These units are so low, though. These stims, the medevacs don't quite have the energy. Is it just going to be enough, though? I mean, even with that low HP, charge lots are not here yet. It's just, I mean, 8 gateways here. For Alkin, he has so much money, but he just isn't able to get the weapons in time. Isn't able to build up this massive army of gateway units. All of his weapons are a little bit off time from each other. This third base might just go down. Alkin needs to save it. He is going to avoid the Widow Mines, but has no high ground vision. Blinkbacks are good, trying to snipe down the Marauders. They are so low, but now the Widow Mine's going to go off. One Stalker peeled away. Reinforcements coming in, but I don't think it's actually enough. I think Alkin can fight this. Just has to keep this Nexus alive. Blinks on forward, snipes down the Marauders. And Alkin barely holding on here. Incredible fight from him, but now more Marauders coming on in. More Stalkers being warped in. Widow Mines being burrowed, but the Widow Mines can be blinked away from. Only one Stalker is going to fall. Another blink needs to come through. It doesn't. These Widow Mines are falling, but the third base is up here for left not. Only 39 workers, though. It's not a massive worker count here for the Terran. He's really just right now relying on these mules and the 3 command centers once he gets that third orbital command up to keep his economy going. But you can see already starting to run out of minerals there, and the natural has been muling it heavily. The 1-1 doing so much work, though, in these fights in keeping a left not across the map. But now it's time to transition. For both the players, about a 10 probe advantage here. Alkin does need to transition some probes off that natural base. Has 27 there. Take potentially a second gas. We'll have to see what the tech option is, as, oh no. Charge out run by does get caught. Alefnot is staying out on the map. He does not want to let go of this pressure. I mean, he's got 2-2 on the way. He knows he has a 1-1 advantage. As charge lots are just going to try and dive on in. Widowmine shot. The friendly fire is good. Needs to blink away from that shot. Is going to be able to do so. And with all the Widowmines gone, Alefnot does need to back up. Unfortunately, nothing to really clear this vision. There is an Oracle that is out, has just popped out, needs to get over there for the revelation. There's +1 armor on the way, but oh no! Oh my. That is disastrous. The Oracle's gone. No more vision to clear up the Widow Mines. I mean, robotics facility is on the way, but that's going to be a while until it's done. And now, I mean, look at these economies again. It's that worker difference is it's cutting down, and with the mules, you're seeing this income just come in here for Alefnot. He is doing so well for himself in terms of the economy. He's going to be happy with the position in this game. I mean, Alkin doesn't really have any tech. Doesn't really have... Oh, interesting. Doesn't really have anything to clear out, get massive splash damage against this massive bio army that Alefnot is building. I mean, obviously, I think Colossus or Disruptors are going to be probably the next step for this robotics facility. We'll have to see. Yeah, second robotics and the Bay coming down. So, I mean, Alkin right now is just hoping that he's going to have enough time to potentially get out double Disruptor, double Colossus. I think the Colossus are going to be the better option here. There's already ghosts on the way for Alefnot. Surprisingly, I mean, just a single ghost is going to be able to do a lot. The EMPs clear up a lot of their shields. Those Widow Mines are now able to one-shot. I mean, they're able to one-shot anything. And it's just so much AoE that's going to be available to the Terran. Even with the reduced splash damage of that EMP, you know, no longer be able to get that upgrade to increase it. But it's just going to be the one ghost for now. We'll see how he decides to end up using that ability. I think the only real scary part here for Alefnot is this timing, and I think he realizes that he's been sitting back for way too long, needs to get out on the map, needs to try and put some pressure on the Protoss before Alkin is able to recover, get into these really high-tech units. Extended thermal lenses on the way, but oh no! Oh, it's a supply block! Oh, the Colossus are being produced! Oh, this is disastrous for the Protoss. These Colossus, they'd be so big, and now the Stalker's getting caught on out. And you got a cannon, you have a shield battery, and some Zealots. It is not enough. I mean, force fields are good, but there's no splash damage. There's no splash damage here for Alkin. More weapons are coming through. Needs the chrono boost down on those Colossus. Is not doing so. Stalkers still in the main are not being brought over. It's so much bio here for Alefnot. And it looks like Alkin is going to go down finally after fighting so hard to try and keep himself in this game. GG is called. Shopify going to pick up their first win on the board. And And yeah, I mean, that was a good game. I mean, Alkin, if you don't get that supply block, I actually don't know what happens there. If you don't get supply blocked, he was really recovering into a good position, just not quite able to pull it out there in the end. And so that's going to be the first game going to Shopify in this best of 9. Of course, a lot of games still to go. We're going to have to see who's up next. As I believe in game 2. Looks like from Google Alphastars, we're going to be getting Antis. And from Shopify, Dropshippers, it's going to be TLO. So we are going to get some TLO action. That makes me extremely excited here. I believe we're going to also be going on to Altitude for our second map as well. We'll have to see as we get on into it. Yeah, I mean, it was so close there. So close there at the end, maybe a little bit longer. And, you know, Google would have had that first map maybe. But we're going to be getting on into the next game really quickly. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. I don't want to wait. So let's get on to game number 2 of this best of 9. It is going to be TLO facing off against Antis. Obviously, Shopify right now already feeling pretty good picking up that first win against Google. Let's get on into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back onto Altitude with that map switch. And I believe the map was switched in map number 1. Just going to check that. Oh, no. Swap map not used. Never mind. But Altitude for 2 games now. Let's see how this goes. Bottom left-hand corner in the red, it's going to be your Zerg player for Shopify. It's TLO. And the top right has quite the challenge in front of him. In the blue, it is Antis for Google. All right, and a ZVZ here on Altitude. And ZVZ, I think, ends up being a very interesting matchup on this map. Just because of the size of it, you know? I think I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing, something a bit more crazy than just like Roach Wars, because obviously it's TLO, and TLO can do some pretty interesting builds. As opening wise, already we're seeing that variation right now. I mean, Antis, gas into pool. Meanwhile, TLO is going gasless. So TLO is going to be going for a build that is much more defensive, essentially. You're going to be getting that later speed, but you're going to have a few more queens out. You can get your economy up a little bit quicker. Antis, however, will have that quicker zergling speed. And we're going to see if he really is going to be able to push that into some sort of an advantage, what he's going to do with it. In a lot of cases, when you open this where it's gas pool into against pool into gas, the player who goes pool into gas doesn't actually feel that threatened because their speed is still going to be up. Their metabolic boost is still going to be finished in a good amount of time, at least soon enough that they're able to defend whatever pressure might be coming from the other Zerg player. They're going to have more queens. They're going to have a few more drones. And overall, it should just defensively play out fine, as you see both players here getting out there early. Zergling's speed already started up here for Antis. And a few more Zerglings on the way. And so, we'll have to see how this plays out. TLO, obviously just going to be happy to sit back right now. And there we go, yeah. Third hatchery coming down for TLO, so it's going to be very happy. Third hatchery for Antis. And again, skipping out on that early speed doesn't really end up hurting TLO altogether that much. You know, he's slowly going to get there, but he knows that his opponent is also going to be going for a third base most of the time. And so it's a very safe gamble here, essentially, for TLO, saying, all right, yeah, I don't need speed. I'm going to go be slower on this gas and just see if I can push an advantage that way. Interesting enough, he's going to be getting these 4 more Zerglings here just in order to help defend. Baneling Nest on the way, and TLO actually foregoing the metabolic boost for quite a while. He's going to get a nice kill there on that Overlord, though. I don't think Antis was expecting TLO to push his queens out that far. But here we go. Baneling Nest coming down. This is where we're going to see what these players have in mind for this game. Obviously, for TLO, These are defensive banelings. You do not have metabolic boost. You're not going to be going across the map with this army trying to really get pressure down. You're defending. This is, if my opponent comes across the map, I'll have banelings up, but I'm going to defend. And that means that Roach Warren and Evo Chamber are immediately coming down instead. It's going to be speedless. It's going to be immediately into Roaches. TLO is going to feel very confident in his ability to defend against whatever Antis is throwing at him. But obviously there's a lot of money being spent here into TLO's tech, essentially. Is foregoing a little bit of that economy, and so Antis is going to try and is going to be able to keep up, at least, in the worker count. But the real difference is going to be these Roaches. I mean, TLO, he's going to have 430, the layer is going to be done. He's going to have his Roach Warren start on +1, start on Glio Reconstitution, and you're going to have these really, really quick Roaches that are going to be very, very strong. And you see now, the Roach Warren is only just now coming down for Antis. And this is kind of the bet that TLO has made, where he says, all right, I'm going to go without speed. I'm going to just defend. I'm going to get this faster Roach Warren so that I can have more of these units out early. He's now going to flood these drones until he's at a good enough count, and he wants to start producing Roaches. We'll see if that Glio Reconstitution is researched. Yeah, there we go. 3 Roaches already on the way. And I don't think we're going to see that many more drones here out of TLO. I mean, yeah, Glio Reconstitution. This is an aggressive 3 base push here for TLO. Drones are being cut at 53. He's pretty happy with his saturation. And now it is just 7 Roaches on the way. These injects coming down. And all this money is going to be spent on getting ahead in this Roach count, which Antis is not even building at this point. And again, this is very well done here by TLO. Has been able to deny the scouting by pushing the queens out. And I think that might be... I think Antis is kind of sensing that something's up. He's sending a Zergling across. Is going to see the Roaches. Immediately starts on 6 of his own. So knows now that TLO is coming across the map. And this is great warning. But he started on a 4th hatchery. And that could be disastrous. That is 300 minerals that you just do not have right now for this defense. And you got the speed Zergling, so obviously you can try and get a wraparound, but do you have enough army right now? Doesn't look like it. It's 46 army supply to 34. A lot of that is in the Roach count for TLO, which is just going to be so much stronger. I mean, +1 is almost finished. Glio Reconstitution is going to be done so much quicker. That's a cancel on the hatchery. TLO, he doesn't even have a 4th of his own, though, so Antis is fine. If Antis can survive, not having the 4th base is not the end of the world. Those Baneling connections were not good for TLO, and now Antis has the reinforcements, has the queens. TLO has to back up, wait for the upgrades, and now with Roach speed, he's going to try and dive on in. Can't get the queen. TLO, he's getting so aggressive here as he snipes down the queen, but he's losing so many Roaches for, I mean, for right now, at least not for a lot, but he's going to go straight up into the main. He's going to split up this Roach fight, get rid of the reinforcements. He can't win at the front, though, with these reinforcements coming across the map. Is just trying to camp the production here of Antis. Is now going to the mineral line. The drones are going to be pulled. That's going to be a lot of workers going down, and TLO behind this. I mean, he's still sitting at 61. He's saturated on 3 bases. He's making this attack. He knows that his economy is fine, and it's going to be a Muta switch. But TLO still just hammering on that Roach button. Antis right now needs to go into defense mode. He needs to just try and survive. Obviously, losing the 4th does hurt because it means that TLO does have that advantage. TLO, his build has gone exactly as he wanted. He's had no interruptions. That's not the case for Antis, but +2 missile weapons on the way. And that could be a massive difference maker here. Spore Crawler's also coming up, I believe, in the main base only? Yeah, only in the main base. So, again, Antis not really having any clue what's going on inside of TLO's base. Is this Roach count? This is not what you want to fight as Antis. TLO's Overlord's able to keep vision. And TLO's vision control this game has just been impeccable. Antis right now, as soon as he sees those mutas, it needs to be Spore Crawlers being placed down. I mean, at least 2 in every base. Queens coming together to help fight against them. It's already 7 mutas here. Looks like TLO's just going to go for the straight up fight. And, I mean, the Queen's a little bit out of position here. Are going to be able to fight decently well. TLO not wanting to commit in just yet. The Queens are able to fight. Roaches have to back away. It's Defender's advantage, and the Queen's actually doing a great job of fighting away the mutas. TLO a little bit indecisive where he wants to commit on in here, but now we're going to be having another issue here for Antis, which is the fact that his overlords are just all going to die. And that's how things are going to be. These mutas, they have free reign of the sky. There's no Hydralisks out. And it's going to be very hard for Antis to have any vision on this map. I mean, if you're looking at what he sees, it's not a lot. He's stuck in his own base. And it's a terrifying feeling for a Zerg player. If that Zergling is killed, knows at least where the roaches are. TLO, meanwhile, can see absolutely everything that is happening. Gonna try and dive on into these queens again. Transfusions not quite going down, so one queen will fall. Spore crawlers being replanted. And I will say Antis is adapting extremely well to this situation, is being able to get himself into a decent spot. Hydra Den is now done. His +2 is going to be done way ahead of TLO's with that +1 carapace as well. One queen is going to fall, being caught out just a little bit. And that fourth base as well for Antis. He has that up. Is starting to saturate it. It's not quite there yet. A Spore Crawler has to be canceled. And now Hydralisks are on the way. No real upgrades for the Hydras, though. I mean, no speed, no range. Infestation Pit also. I mean, we've seen the Infestation Pit. So many Zerg players use it so well as an answer. This is a little bit dangerous here for the Mutas. Don't actually manage to get any kills. Some great transfusions. But here comes the Roach Ball. Antis, what is your angle? It's not very good right now. His army is just not having a good concave. TLO, all of his units are firing. Antis, the same can't be said for him. He's diving on in. He has the Hydras at the back. They're trying their best to fight, dodging the Corrosive Biles. And Antis able to push TLO back. The Hydralisk DPS just adding so much to this fight. I don't think you want to chase, though, if you're Antis. Sure, you have that upgrade advantage, but that high ground is so scary to push up, especially when your Hydras, you don't have a lot of them fight against these Mutalisks, and Antis getting caught a little bit out of position. Is going to back on up. Queens are going to come over. And Lurker Den is on the way. Infestation Pit also finished, so we might start to see Infestors come out. See those fungal growths. Can be absolutely massive in these fights with lots of roaches. But the Mutas haven't continued production, and so it doesn't look like Antis is going to want to really head into Infestors, because that's not, they're not going to be as useful against the roaches as they would be against a massive Mutaball. Antis tries to push away that Overlord. It's not going to be able to, but his whole army is over here. Meanwhile, TLO has split his up. Has such a massive army advantage. 27 supply in the lead here for TLO in the army. As Roach is trying to dive on in. It's a slight upgrade advantage here for Antis, but it might not be enough. There's just so many numbers for TLO. And eventually the rest of the units coming in, but that's the third base sniped. And with the third base going down, Antis is in a world of trouble. Needs to push on up. Roach is starting to go down. I mean, there's a lot of units here. Corrosive Biles being fired out. This concave is amazing here for Antis as he's trying to push down back in the main base, but the reinforcements coming back. And this is going to be a sandwich. Antis, you're going to lose so much as TLO collapses. And the rest of the army just needs to run away. Hive now on the way for TLO. That's already finished for Antis, but he hasn't been able to get into those lurkers. I think that's really good. The big issue here for Antis right now with that third base going down. The gas, you know, mining is not as much as he'd like to transition to such a gas-heavy composition. Is going to get 2 lurkers, but ideally for this transition, you want a bit more than that. These 2 at least will be able to help out with the defense. That morph time is very long, though. TLO just has so much here. A lot of that supply in the Roaches and Ravagers. Already that Spine Crawler going down. Lurkers are almost out. Antis, he just needs to try and buy some time until his Lurkers are here. He's diving on in, but TLO might just have the numbers. The Lurkers are not here just yet. The drones are being pulled as now the Lurkers going in. They haven't burrowed, though. Finally, one Lurker is going to burrow. It's going to start shooting its spines, and the worker pull was good. It keeps, I mean, a lot of this army alive, but you lose so much. 26 drones falling down. Ravagers are going to get chased away. But that was a painful fight for Antis. And TLO just continuing to push these advantages. Now has 3 lurkers of his own on the way. He has been sitting, I mean, healthily at 60+ workers this entire game. Seismic Spine's also on the way, and feels like TLO just constricting Antis right now. And you're going to see, I mean, in the army, Antis has been able to catch up, trying to get in more lurkers. I mean, again, if those lurkers had been in that fight, if he'd had them up a little bit sooner, maybe this would look much different. That is not the case, as one lurker here, not in the best position. Lurker on the high ground, though, might be able to help out, but the rally's bad. One lurker is going to go down. The other two are burrowing, but the corrosive biles are going to hit, and that's, I mean, one lurker, but it's not even in the fight here for Antis, as he's trying to stop TLO, but he can't, and Shopify Rebellion. That is going to be the 2-0 scoreline for them. Incredible. And Google on the ropes a little bit here. What are they going to do? But it's going to go to map 3. And yeah, I mean, it's been really well played here by Shopify. Their players have, I mean, there were some hiccups, and it's looked very close at some points, but they've just been able to pull out these wins here in the long game. Solid macro. So now we'll have to see when it comes down to game number 3. This is really a situation where you want to win so badly if you are Google. It's going to be Zero facing off against H-Jax. We are going to be going on to Ancient Cistern, ladies and gentlemen, for this game number 3. Let us see what Google has in store for us, if they can try and bring it back. The Alphastars down 0-2. Let's get right on into it. Ladies and gentlemen, top right corner here of Ancient Cistern, it's going to be your Protoss player in the pink. Part of the Alpha X clan, playing for the Google Alphastars. His name is H-Jax. And the bottom left, up 2-0 with the Shopify Dropshippers. His name is Zero. Already seen one TVP today. Now going to see a second one. As this was a map swap. So originally it was not Ancient Cistern on this map. Shopify sent out Zero, say, all right, we want to swap it to that second map choice, which was Ancient Cistern. That's where he feels more comfortable. And once that swap has been made, obviously H-Jax and Google, you're not able to swap it back to the first map. So we'll have to see. Zero, he might have something planned if this is what he chose, if they Shopify use that one map switch here. And it might just be a situation where Zero is really confident in his Terran on this map in all matchups. Or maybe he has something a little bit cheeky he's going to do. But right now, not a lot of pressure on Zero. His team's up 2-0. You know, you just got to win 5 games and then you're all set. So right now Zero is very comfortable. H-Jax, there's a lot of pressure here on the Google Alphastars. They've been playing well, but Shopify has just been slightly outdoing them within these games in terms of the build orders they're choosing. I mean, we saw that with game 1, where you have the 6-gate Stalker into a 2-base Terran, and you're able to get damage done, but it's the transition that is so hard for the Protoss there to make it work. And the second game, the gas is opening from TLO into the early Roaches, able to get the damage done that he wanted and just keep snowballing that lead. And it's not like anyone from Google Alphastars has been playing bad. They have been playing extremely well. It's just been that Shopify has been one step ahead. Their players have been one step ahead in their preparations, in knowing what kind of builds they want to do. And obviously TLO, I mean, even might have studied Antis a little bit. You know, usually in these finals, you have a lot to go off of in opponents' games and what they're doing and how they've been playing. And so, you know, could look at this, could look at that, and say, hey, I know that this guy, he's not going to be super aggressive with his Zerglings. I can just skip that gas, go straight into these Roaches, and hit a really strong 3-base timing attack, and his usual build is not going to stop that. And obviously, when Antis wants to play a much safer build, ends up working great for TLO. Blink now on the way though for HJax. This is going to be with a robotics facility, so it's not a super heavy committal to this Blink Stalker pressure. It is going to be, I think, 4 gates for now. So light Blink Stalker pressure. It's what we usually see. And meanwhile, on the back of this for Zero is also going for a very, very standard build. It's going to be the 2 Widowmine drop coming through. Double barracks coming up. This should be swapped over. I believe this factory is actually going to be swapped over. Ooh, this is very interesting. So usually this is swapped over for something like Stim. We're going to see that Raven come through first and then a second tech lab be built, which will, I assume, be swapped over to that barracks for the Stim pack. But the Raven just going to make sure that nothing comes in, no Dark Templar or anything like that. It's going to be completely, or Zero at least is going to be completely safe. No tank on the way even. Wow, this is, yeah, very, very safe. So the Raven will be the one swapped over the starport to start on that Stim pack. But Zero's going to have a lot of defenses up here for when these Blink Stalkers come across the map as Widowmines drop on in. That's already 6 probes going down. Second Widowmine probes are pulled away, but that target fire is good. 11 fall. And Zero already finding success, and now suddenly for HJax, you are down in the worker count against a Terran player. This Blink Stalker pressure needs to work, but there's already a tank out. He needs to just dive on in with the Stalkers. He's not able to walk forward enough to try and get on top of that tank. One Stalker is going to go down. This is a situation where we might just see that blinking onto the tank. Scan is going to come down, though, so Zero is going to know where the Stalkers are positioned, is going to know where to put his Marines. There's the blink forward. Wow, the target fire, though, is not on the tank. HJax not able to snipe it down. The DPS is so high from that alongside the Marines. The Zealots were not pulled in either. And this is disastrous here for HJax. One Widowmine even got out. It's going to go back in. This is, I mean, potentially going to be game-ending damage. It was Widowmine if it does hit. Target fire is going to come through, and there we go, another 7 probes. Stalkers trying their hardest to find damage, but they just can't. HJax is down to 30 workers. Zero is healthy at 45. His build has been uninterrupted. 3 racks. This is just a terrible position for the Protoss. He's going to put down the 3rd base and hope and pray that Zero does not move across the map. And it's going to be 5 racks now for Zero. I mean, on 3 bases, he is going to be trying to compound this lead as much as possible. Stalker's still trying to press the front. Widowmine goes back in. And this Widowmine has 12 kills. That is insane. Oh, does it get out? Oh, it doesn't. Zero not able to quite save the Widowmine for the 3rd time. But still got so much value. I mean, that's 2 Widowmines as well, is what's really crazy about that. And, you know, as opposed to doing something like a 3 Widowmine drop when you just have the 2, it obviously means you can get that Raven tank out much faster. Or you're just that little bit faster to defend against the Stalkers. And this has been an extremely clean build here from Zero. HJax had a great idea, knew what he wanted to do, a standard macro opening here for Protoss, and it has just gone terribly awry. And now is just struggling to try and get back into this game, is doing his best to keep Zero occupied with these Blink Stalkers. So Robotic Bay is on the way, so we're going to see Colossus. Actually, I don't even know if it would be Colossus here for H-Jax. It might just end up being a Disruptor. Obviously, the Colossus is a bit more consistent, but do you have the units to defend it? 1,200 minerals in the bank right here for H-Jax. He needs to start getting some Warpins in. He needs to have something here for defense, but he pushes in and just says, yeah, I don't have enough. There is no way that I am winning that. And that is going to be game number 3, heading over to Shopify Dropshippers. They're up 3-0. That is insane. That is ridiculous. And this is against the reigning champions. But Shopify have just been absolutely demolishing it. I mean, it's been close. It's been like, again, it's just been these build orders have been clean from Shopify. It really feels like they know what their opponents are doing, and they've prepared very, very well. And I think that's what a lot of this difference is coming down to. Because when the games even out a little bit, when we see the Google Alphastars able to, they don't like immediately take game-ending damage and they're able to recoup a little bit, they're playing really well and they're able to get back into these games to some extent, but they're being put far enough behind from the start that that's not really ending up mattering. So for Google, you're on the ropes, and I think what's worse is that unfortunately for this game number 4, we actually have a forfeit. Incarnate is here for Shopify. Vmoros for Google, not able to get in contact with him, not able to find him. And so they're going to take the walkover, which puts Shopify up 4-0 in this grand finals. This best of 9, which I don't think anyone expected. And we go into our ace match. So obviously, these ace matches, it is random. Neither team know who the other team will field. And for Google, all 3 players have lost, but who has played the best is really the question. And we'll have to see who they end up fielding. We're going to be going into our first ace match, potentially the last game of this series. Let's see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. It is right now 4-0 for Shopify. The walkover hurting Google so much in this situation. We'll have to see if they can bring it back. The top left-hand corner. In the blue for Shopify. He's the Zerg player. His name is TLO. He's looking to close it out right now. The bottom right. Google, they said, listen, HGX, we feel confident in you on this map, on Neo Humanity. We're going to trust you with this. You need to bring it back. So, ladies and gentlemen, the bottom right-hand corner in the pink from Clan Alpha X playing for the Google Alphastars. His name is HGX. And we're going to get to see TLO in a TVP. Let's see what he has planned. Now, HX, as I mentioned in that game before, had a really good idea for his opening. Had a really solid build that, you know, the ideas that he was working with were very standard Protoss macro, and it looked like it was going to work well until those Widow Mines got damage done. As soon as those Widow Mines killed 11 workers or so, that's when the game started to spiral out of control for HX. Right then and there, it was already, I mean, almost, it was game-winning damage pretty much from the Terran player. And so, we'll have to see what HX ends up doing here in a TV, or in a PvZ. Obviously, this is a matchup where if you can get to that late game, you know, then you're going to feel really confident as the Protoss player, but this is also an extremely small map. So do you end up trying to cheese this? Do you go for a 2-base, all in 2-base pressure? What do you do as the Protoss? That's gonna be the question for HJax, because he's definitely gonna be the one who needs to be more proactive in this game. He's gonna need to be the one who is making the moves, who is applying a pressure to TLO. Because I think TLO is completely fine playing this out in a macro game, getting to his timing attacks, and playing it out from there. We have the Stargate coming on the way here for HJax, so has not been scouted. Will most likely be an Oracle first, but we could still see Phoenix here to clear up Overlords. Potentially, I mean, there is not unheard of tech where you go Phoenix into Oracle. That way you can also pick up the Queen in the mineral line. But it's just going to be the single Oracle for now. And that Overlord moves on in, uses the extended range to see the Stargate without being scouted, knows now that it's an Oracle. Spore Crawlers are going to come down for TLO. And the Zerg is going to feel very safe in their position right now. They are going to feel good. TLO, I think, is going to be happy seeing all of this play out. But we also have these 3 Adepts that we're going to have to see. HJax could, you know, while he is pushing across the map with that Oracle, send out an Adept, send out 2 Adepts into a mineral line. There's a lot that you can do here with dual pronged pressure, but is not going to do that. The Adepts are going to stay at home just to try and defend if there are any Zerglings that come across that try and sneak their way on in. And it looks like TLO is going to try and do that. I mean, these Zerglings heading out across the map. Oracle is going to scout around, going to try and head for that natural base, but 3 Queens already here. It's going to make that very difficult as third Nexus comes down. TLO, yeah, he knows this timing. He knows that timing well. He's going to get the cancel, and HJax, not quite what you wanted. Ideally, I think there you want to pylon down, and then the Nexus have your Adepts already in position to be able to defend it. He's now going to shade those Adepts over. Should try and get them in between the mineral line with the Oracle also here, though. Means that there's not really going to be any threat, and now we are going to see that Nexus go down. But it's just slightly delayed as TLO up to 43 workers. Roach Warren on the way. And the Roach Warren obviously is just a safety net here. And if TLO gets wind of these resonating glaive Adepts, then he's going to be able to start to build those. But this is all on HJax right now. He needs to hide what he's going for. Additional gateways coming down. That third base is on the way, so this is not a super committed glaive attack. This is, I mean, this is essentially macro glaives. This is HJax saying, all right, I want to get harass damage done with these glaive Adepts. I'm going to send them across the map into your mineral lines. And while that's happening, I'm going to be macroing up behind it. On 3 bases, I'm going to be getting my worker count up, and I'm not going to be in like this terribly awful position because I committed so much to glaive Adepts, and then they may not get anything done. And I think this is a smart play here for HJax. Also has that robotics facility coming up, so we can immediately head on into Immortals and look for that follow-up push, obviously, with the Adepts and Immortals, which is we've seen to be very popular before, as these Adepts, all of them going to shade into the same spot. I don't think yeah, HJax doesn't like that either. You want to split up those shades the best that you can. Zerglings are coming back. Those shades going to head now straight for the natural. Oh. HJax being a little bit indecisive here with if he wants to send them in. But now look at this, 10 roaches on the way. TLO, he's just committed to the roach pressure. He says, okay, you build glaive Adepts and you send them across the map and you're not diving in. That's fine. I'm at 55 workers. I'm happy with this army count. I'm just gonna fight this as the, oh my god, the Adepts go in. They're gonna try and start to knock down these workers, but there's still more and more roaches here. Now gonna shade towards that natural, has to back on up. Not a lot of roaches here. He's gonna cancel it though. Forces the army back, and Jack's at least a little bit happy with that as he has 1 immortal out. He's gonna need more though to help defend against these, I mean, this massive amount of roaches for TLO. Disruptor on the way. It needs to be here a lot faster though. Is there a shield battery? No shield battery at the third. This is so very dangerous here for HJax. Of course, the Zerglings are not going to do that well. They're going to get cleaned up very, very quickly. But you only have 1 immortal. It's going to get dived on. The Zerglings doing their best to mess with that AI, and they do so very, very well. And TLO hits an amazingly strong timing attack. There's so many roaches, and they just run over the army of the Protoss. No shield battery, no defense, no immortals. And that's going to be no win here for Google. Disruptor shot only gets 2. And HJax Had some good ideas once again, but it just does not seem like it was enough. Shopify do too well. They're too strong. And that is going to be them getting the 5-0. What an incredible series from them. I mean, Google put up one hell of a fight, but you cannot underestimate and you can't understate how well that just went for Shopify. They played out of their minds, and obviously the walkover did not help. But every player, I mean, for Shopify did so well. If you're looking at it, I mean, LFNot, TLO, Zero, all grabbing those wins extremely well. And doing really strong builds, really good timing attacks, knowing their opponents, knowing the maps, and playing them out to their strongest. But that means that we are going to be ending in a 5-0. Congratulations to the Shopify Dropshippers on getting that victory. It was swift, and it was decisive. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with that, that's going to be all for me. I've been Titan on Fire. I hope you have enjoyed. And that is going to do it for the Corporate Esports Association Starcraft 2 Season 2023. Shopify Dropshippers are our champions. We will be back, hopefully. We will be back next year. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.